my next topic is all about the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the most common organic molecules in nature. So carbohydrates are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So the chemical formula for glucose or carbohydrates is this: 6 atoms of carbon, 12 atoms of hydrogen, and 6 atoms of oxygen. So that's the chemical formula for the glucose. So carbohydrates is very beneficial and functional for us, especially inside our human body. So what are its functions? First, it provides significant fraction of the dietary calories for most organisms. Second is that it acts as a storage form of energy in the body. Why? In our body, we have this so-called glycogen. So what is glycogen? Glycogen is the excess of glucose. In our body, we are rich in sugars or glucose. So take for example, me. Let's go back to the glycogen first. Glycogen is usually found or stored in the liver, fats, and muscles. So now here's a scenario. Take for example, me, I haven't eaten my breakfast. So since I don't have stored sugars, if I did not eat breakfast, the glycogen which are stored in my fats will be converted into glucose in order for my body to provide or regulate energy. So if my fats or the sugars in my fats are insufficient for the production of energy, the sugars present in my muscles will be used. So another function that is helpful from carbohydrates is that it preserves our muscles, because if we have carbohydrates present in our body, if we have enough carbs present in our body or glucose present in our body, it helps our muscles to be preserved or not used as conversion of glucose or conversion for glucose. So we could classify another function that carbohydrates work, or another function that carbohydrates contain, is it serves as a cell membrane components that mediate some forms of intercellular communication. And lastly, it serves as a structural component of many organisms. So that's it. That's for the functions of carbohydrates. Now let's go to the classification of it. First is the monosaccharide. So when we say monosaccharide, it is the building blocks of carbohydrates. It could be identified into two. First is the glucose. When we say glucose, it is the blood sugar. It means that it is the sugar usually present or is being stored in the blood. Another one is the fructose. So when we say fructose, it is a fruit sugars. So it's the sugars present in fruits. Simple as that. Now, when we say monosaccharide, it has only one chain of sugar. And monosaccharides could be glucose, fructose, and galactose. So if we combine fructose plus galactose, if fructose and galactose are combined, it forms sucrose, or the table sugar. Meanwhile, the combination of galactose and glucose forms the lactose, or also known as milk, which is loved by everybody, especially me, milk. And lastly, if we combine glucose to glucose, we would be able to produce maltose. So that's for monosaccharides. Next is the disaccharides. From the word itself, di, it means two. So it means that if we combine or link together two monosaccharides, we would be able to form disaccharides. Another is the oligosaccharides. For example, the starch. For example, the starch is form of an oligosaccharides. And lastly is the polysaccharides. So polysaccharide contains repeating units of sugar. So it usually ranges from 10 to hundreds of sugar units. So for plants and animals, they have glucose polymers. So what is glucose polymers? It could be halfly or split into two, the cellulose and the starch. So for cellulose, the bond points up or upward, while for the starch, the bond points downward. So this is how glucose subunits are linked together. Now, we have two types of carbohydrates. First is the whole or full carbohydrates, and the second one is the refined carbs, which is the sugars, which I was just mentioning earlier for about a couple of times. So we have the so-called glycosidic bond. When we say glycosidic bond, it is the linkage term when carbohydrates are combined to other elements.